What if I told you the real reason most people feel stuck, lost, or quietly defeated isn't because they lack talent, but because they lack mental strength? We scroll endlessly, comparing ourselves to everyone else. We envy what they have, then wonder why we feel empty. We chase comfort like it's the prize, yet end up tired, anxious, and unfulfilled. We run from pain and still suffer daily. Here's the brutal truth. It's not the struggle that breaks us, it's the addiction to ease. The more we run from discomfort, the more it quietly drains us. But here's the twist: the ancient Stoics saw this coming long before iPhones, Instagram, or self-help gurus. They lived in the real trenches of life, facing war, betrayal, and death, and still found unshakable clarity. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, and one of history's most powerful Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That's not just some cute quote to post on your feed. That's a battle-tested mindset. It's a weapon, a way of moving through chaos without letting it break you. Stoicism won't make life easier. It makes you stronger. It builds the kind of internal power that doesn't need applause, approval, or perfect conditions. And in this video, we're diving into 8 brutal, unfiltered Stoic laws, the kind that hit hard and leave no room for excuses. No motivational fluff. No shiny affirmations, just raw, real principles that will stretch you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Each of these Stoic laws is pulled from ancient wisdom, forged in Rome, but built for today's chaos. Still sharp, still relevant, still ruthless. But before we dive in, I need one promise from you. Don't just treat this like background noise. Don't half-watch while scrolling TikTok or checking your notifications. This isn't another feel-good clip. This is a call to arms. If you're serious about growth, pause, focus, and commit. Hit that like button right now. Drop your thoughts in the comments anytime a truth hits, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because this isn't about views, it's about impact. Now let's start with law number 1, embrace discomfort like a friend. We've been trained since childhood to avoid discomfort like it's a threat. But the Stoics believed the exact opposite. Pain, step toward it. Discomfort, lean into it. Not blindly, but intentionally. With eyes wide open, ask yourself, when did you grow the most in life? Was it when everything felt safe, easy, and smooth? Or was it during the chaos when life blindsided you and you had to decide, break or rise? Marcus Aurelius led Rome through war, plague, and betrayal. He didn't fold. He led with presence and discipline. Why? Because he didn't dodge discomfort. He used it. He said the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That's not just poetic. That's the law. Every setback, a sharpening stone. Every delay, a lesson in patience. Every rejection, a training ground for resilience. And that's where we begin. Now let's go deeper. And that brings us to the next brutal truth. One most people spend their lives running from. Resilience isn't born in comfort. It's built in the trenches. In a world that constantly tells you to play it safe, to seek comfort, and avoid pain at all costs, Stoicism dares to whisper something radically different. Train for it. That cold shower you're dreading? It's not just water, it's a test. That difficult conversation you've been avoiding? It's not just tension, it's a path. That gym session when you're running on fumes? That's not punishment, it's where your character gets carved. The Stoics didn't just theorize this, they lived it. They believed that by intentionally choosing small, controlled discomforts, you train yourself for life's inevitable chaos. So when the real storm hits, when the losses, rejections, betrayals, or crises come, you're not crumbling. You're already built for it. Seneca, one of the most powerful voices in Stoic philosophy, would sleep on the floor, eat plain food, and wear worn-out clothes, not out of self-loathing, but out of self-training. Why? Because if life one day strips away all comfort, it won't be a shock, it'll be familiar. He'd already met the cold, already walked through the silence, already become stronger for it. And here's the thing, discomfort isn't your enemy, it's your mirror. It reflects your true capacity. It shows you not just where you are, but who you're becoming. We avoid small pain today only to suffer greater pain tomorrow. But if you lean in, if you step into the fire with your eyes wide open, something powerful happens. You stop fearing the pain. And that's the beginning of real freedom. From this moment on, start seeing discomfort as a sparring partner. Sure, it might bruise you, but it's building you. It's not there to break you, it's there to sharpen your edge. Pick one small discomfort today and face it. No debate. Cold shower, deep conversation, sitting quietly in boredom instead of distracting yourself. Because this is how warriors are forged. And the only way to become unstoppable is to stop running. Drop this in the comments right now. Discomfort is my training ground. Now we shift into the second law. Number 2, stop being owned by your emotions. Let's be real. How often do your emotions hijack your entire day? Someone cuts you off in traffic and you're angry for hours. Your plans get canceled and suddenly your whole mood tanks. You feel lazy, so you skip the gym, the work, the discipline, and tell yourself you'll try again tomorrow. Sound familiar? It's not just you, it's all of us. But the brutal Stoic truth is this: if you are ruled by your emotions, you are a slave to them. And the Stoics, they believe that slavery to your feelings is far worse than chains on your wrists. Epictetus, a former slave who rose to become one of the most respected Stoic teachers, said it best: any person capable of angering you becomes your master. They can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by them. Let that sink in. That driver who flipped you off on the highway, you handed him your peace. That breakup, you handed it your identity. That one rude comment online, you gave it your joy. Stoicism isn't asking you to become a robot. It's not about ignoring emotions. It's about learning to rule over them instead of being ruled by them. And this leads us into the deeper discipline: what to do with your emotions once you feel them. Stoicism doesn't tell you to suppress your emotions or pretend you don't feel them. No, it teaches you something far more powerful: to observe them, understand them, and respond rather than react. See, the difference between a child and a Stoic isn't whether they feel emotion, it's how they handle it. A child throws a tantrum. A Stoic, he sits in the storm and thinks. Marcus Aurelius, arguably the most powerful man of his time, didn't vent his frustrations to crowds. He wrote quietly to himself in what would later become his legendary work, Meditations. And in one of his most profound reflections, he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Think about that. That's not just advice. That's a complete reframe of power. Most people believe that their emotions are automatic, uncontrollable, and tied directly to external events. But Stoicism flips that idea on its head. You can't control what happens to you, but you can always control how you interpret it and how you respond. And that's the kind of inner control nobody teaches us, the kind of strength that doesn't come from muscle, but from mastery. But here's the brutal part: once you realize this, you can no longer blame others. You lose the right to say, "He made me mad," or "She ruined my day." Because deep down, that reaction, that outburst, that shift in your mood was your choice. And yet, this is also liberating. Because if you chose it once, you can choose differently next time. You can feel anger without acting in anger. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel sadness without being swallowed by it. That's emotional strength. That's Stoic freedom. So here's a challenge for the next time you feel triggered by a comment, a delay, a disappointment. Pause, don't react immediately. Take one deep breath and ask yourself, is this feeling useful right now? Then choose your response with intention. This isn't cold or robotic. It's called self-leadership. And when you stop being yanked around by every emotion, something shifts. You become clear, calm, centered. People notice. They respect it. Because in today's emotionally reactive world, a grounded presence is rare. It's magnetic. It's unshakable. That's when real growth begins. Not when you suppress your emotions, but when you master them. Not when you pretend you don't feel, but when you choose not to be owned by what you feel. And that takes us straight into the third brutal Stoic law. Number 3, stop expecting fairness. Life owes you nothing. Here's a tough truth to swallow. One of the fastest ways to stay miserable is to expect life to be fair. Let that settle for a second. You work hard and someone lazier gets the promotion. You love deeply and they still walk away. You follow the rules and yet you get punished anyway. And what rises inside you: this isn't fair. But here's what the Stoics knew long before modern psychology ever caught up fairness. is a human-made idea, not a law of the universe. Marcus Aurelius himself said, "You can commit injustice by doing nothing." It's time to reclaim your power, not from the world, but from within. Even Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man of his time, witnessed injustice every single day. Corruption, betrayal, and suffering weren't just possibilities for him, they were guarantees. And yet he didn't complain, he didn't crumble, he didn't waste precious energy blaming the system or wallowing in despair. Instead, he anchored himself in one brutally honest belief: life is not about fairness. Life is about strength. See, the Stoics never walked around expecting the world to be kind. They expected pain, they expected loss, betrayal, chaos, and change, not because they were pessimistic, but because they were prepared. And that's the shift most people never make. Fairness, it sounds noble. It feels comforting. But if you hold on to it too tightly, it will make you fragile. Because let's be honest, when we say, "this isn't fair," what we often mean is, "I don't like how this feels, and I don't want to face it." But here's the law. You don't grow by expecting life to be fair. You grow by facing reality and moving forward anyway. Look around. Good people get hurt. Dishonest people sometimes win. Hard work doesn't always pay off. Kindness is sometimes ignored. And effort? It's no guarantee of reward. That's not cynicism, that's reality. But the difference between the average person and the Stoic. The average person waits for fairness. The Stoic builds strength so unshakable, it doesn't need fairness to thrive. And no, this doesn't mean becoming cold, numb, or emotionless. It means you stop waiting for the world to treat you right and start treating yourself right no matter how the world acts. Seneca, another great Stoic, once wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage, especially when life seems cruel, especially when it would be easier to fold, especially when your heart's broken and the rewards don't match the effort." So what do? You stop complaining. You take the pain and you use it as fuel. You build a life of skill, of value, of discipline, so undeniable it can't be ignored. You love but without expecting guarantees. You endure betrayal, but walk forward with your head held high. Because that's what Stoicism is all about: radical responsibility. Not because everything is your fault, but because it's always your move. You don't control the hits life throws at you, but you do control whether you stand up afterward. That response, that quiet, powerful, unshaken response, that's what makes you unstoppable. Fairness is never promised, but freedom that's earned one powerful choice at a time. And now we move to Stoic law, Rewire 4, focus on what you can control. Let go of the rest. The Stoics believe that all your true power lives in one place, within the boundary of your control. Everything outside of that, release it. Epictetus said it clearly: "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." Once you've reclaimed your focus and stopped wasting energy on what you can't control, the next step is simple but not easy. Train your will on purpose. Here's where most people get it completely backward. They try to control people. They obsess over the future. They stress about every possible outcome. And then they wonder, why am I so anxious, so powerless, so angry all the time? The truth, they're fighting battles they can't win. Let's break it down with brutal honesty. What do you actually control? Your thoughts, your choices, your reactions, your effort, your focus. That's your kingdom. That's your battlefield. Everything else, other people's opinions, the weather, the economy, random events, and most of the future, completely outside your control. You can't decide how others treat you, but you can choose how you respond. You can't stop the rain from falling, but you can choose how you show up, umbrella in hand or soaking wet and furious. You can't control if people like you, but you can live with integrity, with kindness, with consistency. You can't rewrite the global economy, but you can decide to budget wisely, learn new skills, prepare for downturns, and show up with discipline. That shift in focus, it's everything. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, something incredible happens. You get your power back. Instead of being pulled in 100 different directions, you become grounded, steady, and focused. It's like being at sea in a violent storm. Most people scream at the wind, panic at the waves and curse the sky. The Stoic. He grabs the wheel. He steadies the sails. He doesn't fight the storm, he navigates through it. That's what makes you calm when others are spiraling. That's what makes you decisive while others complain. That's what makes you powerful, not because you control the world, but because you control yourself. Now here's something simple and life-changing. Next time you feel stress creeping in, ask one question: is this within my control? If the answer is yes, take action. If the answer is no, let it go. Simple. Yes, easy. Absolutely not. Powerful beyond words. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And when you live by this truth, people feel it. You become unshakable, not because the world stops testing you, but because you've stopped handing it your peace. Now let's go one step further. Stoic law for 5. Practice voluntary hardship to build unbreakable. Will we live in a culture addicted to comfort? Microwave meals, climate control, instant answers. Most people today don't just avoid discomfort, they flee from it. But the Stoics, they didn't wait for hardship to strike. They sought it out on purpose, not because they loved to suffer, but because they wanted to be ready. Seneca, one of the most respected Stoic philosophers, wrote this: set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition I feared? This wasn't about punishment. This was about preparation. It was mental armor being forged in the quiet before the storm. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you willingly sat with discomfort? Most people today never skip a meal. They never let their phone die. They never go without Wi-Fi, AC, coffee, or convenience. So what happens when life does get hard? They fall apart. They panic. They blame. But the Stoic, he's already trained. He's already practiced hunger fatigue, rejection, boredom, struggle. Not because he enjoys it, but because he knows strength doesn't show up when you need it. It's built beforehand. You don't build willpower from YouTube motivation or clever quotes. You build it in battle, even if it's a small one. Voluntary hardship could look like fasting for 24 hours to prove you control your urges, not the other way around. Taking a cold shower when every cell in your body says don't. Saying no to that impulse buy just because you can. That's where freedom is born. And once you've built that kind of inner strength through small, intentional challenges, you're no longer the same person. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait for life to test you, because you've already tested yourself. Maybe it's skipping a meal just to prove you're not ruled by hunger. Maybe it's getting out of bed before sunrise when every part of you wants to hit snooze. Maybe it's doing that one thing you've been avoiding just to reclaim control. Each of those small moments, they stack. They compound. They harden your mindset like steel forged under heat. Over time, you don't become bitter. You become dangerous. Not because you're cruel to yourself, but because you finally understand something most people never will. Comfort doesn't make you strong. Challenge does. And the beautiful part, when real hardship finally hits, and trust me, it will, you don't panic. You don't fold. You nod. Because you've already walked through the fire by choice. Marcus Aurelius ruled during plagues, war, and betrayal. He lost children. He lost friends. He saw Rome fall apart, but he didn't break. He wrote Meditations, a book still read 2,000 years later, with the calm of a man who had made peace with chaos. Why? Because to him, hardship wasn't a surprise. It was a given. He trained for it mentally and emotionally. And when you expect the storm, you don't get paralyzed when the sky turns black. So stop asking, how can I make life easier? And start asking, how can I become stronger? Train your soul like you train your body. Practice being uncomfortable, hungry, cold, alone, tired, rejected. Then stay focused anyway. Because one day life is going to throw more at you than you think you can handle. And when it does, you'll rise. Stoic law, verse 6, detach from outcomes. Fall in love with the process. Now let's talk about the silent killer of motivation, obsession with results. We've all been conditioned to believe that success means hitting the goal. Get the promotion. Land the relationship. Earn the money. Win the award. Check the box. But Stoicism flips that narrative on its head. It says detach from the outcome. Master the process. Why? Because outcomes are never promised. You can't guarantee success, but effort. That's yours. Every time. Epictetus put it like this: freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and it is won by disregarding the things which lie beyond our control. Think about that. When you obsess over results, you tie your self-worth to things you don't even control. You start a new workout plan, and after a week, no six-pack. You quit. You launch a project, it flops. You feel like a failure. You pour your heart into someone, and they walk away. You collapse. But what if you shifted your focus? What if you fell in love with the process, not the applause, not the reward, the work, the grind, the showing up, the journaling, the building, the learning, the training, the quiet moments when no one is watching, but you still keep going? That's Stoicism. Because when your focus is on the process, you always win. Even when you don't get the outcome you wanted, you've still become better, stronger, sharper through the effort itself. And here's the crazy part. Ironically, the moment you stop needing the result, you start getting more of them. Because now you're not desperate. You're not emotionally attached. You're not performing for likes or begging for external validation. You're grounded. You're consistent. You're dangerous. Marcus Aurelius said it best: never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. That's the Stoic way. You don't chase success. You become the kind of person success can't ignore. So once you stop obsessing over outcomes and start falling in love with the work itself, there's one final shift that takes it even deeper. You stop wasting time. Because the moment you realize that life doesn't wait, you stop putting things off. You stop making excuses. You stop living like you've got unlimited tomorrows stored in your back pocket. Stoic law number 7. Embrace death. Live with urgency and purpose. This one, it might sting a little. See, most people walk through life like they're going to live forever. They waste time. They delay dreams. They stay stuck in bad habits and worse relationships because they think someday is guaranteed. But the Stoics, they didn't run from death. They meditated on it, not to be grim, not to be morbid, but to wake themselves up. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." That's not fear. That's freedom. It's the realization that every second wasted is one you'll never get back. Let that settle in for a second. You don't get to keep saying, "I'll do it later. I'll call them tomorrow. I'll start next week." Because here's the brutal truth: tomorrow is not promised. The Stoics practice something called memento mori. Remember you will die. Sounds heavy, right? But they didn't say it to scare you. They said it to sharpen you, to bring you back to this moment, to strip away the noise, to remind you that you're on borrowed time and how you use it matters. Because once you realize that, you stop scrolling mindlessly for hours. You stop arguing over things that don't matter. You stop tolerating relationships that drain you. Instead, you start creating. You start loving. You start living. Now, not later. Seneca put it perfectly. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. You can't control how long you live, but you can control how deeply you live. And the most dangerous lie in modern life: there's still plenty of time. No, there isn't. That dream you keep postponing, that apology you've been meaning to give, that leap you've been scared to take, that business idea, that change you keep pushing to next year. This is your moment. This is your time. The Stoic doesn't ignore death. He looks it dead in the eyes and says, "You will not catch me sleeping on my life." He lives like every day matters because it does. So I'll leave you with this. What are you putting off that your future self will wish you had started today? Whatever it is, start it. Own it. Live it. Because the clock's ticking. And once you truly accept that you're living on borrowed time, something amazing happens. You stop waiting. You stop pretending. You stop chasing things that don't matter. You start living. Because the person who remembers death daily, they don't waste their breath on lies. They don't hold back their love. They don't wait for permission to act. They move with urgency. They let go of ego. They stop fearing failure because they understand the real failure is a life unlived. Live like your time is running out, because it is. And when you do, you stop chasing attention. You stop needing validation. You become focused, magnetic, powerful. You don't talk purpose, you move with it. People notice, but more importantly, you notice. And that brings us to the final law. Stoic Law 38. Be a warrior for virtue, not for approval. Let's just call it like it is. Most people today are addicted to praise. They want applause, recognition, the thumbs up, the heart, the follower count. But the Stoic, he doesn't move for the crowd. He moves for character. Marcus Aurelius said it straight. Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. In other words, do what's right even when no one's watching. Speak truth even when no one's clapping. Keep your promises even when it costs you. Train your body, sharpen your mind even in silence. That's virtue. And no, it's not about being perfect. It's about being principled. Now here's the hard part. Doing the right thing is usually the hard thing. It's easier to lie. It's easier to fake it for attention. It's easier to say what's popular than to stand for what's true. But every time you don't take the easy road, you earn something rare. Self-respect. You become someone your future self would admire. You build an identity that no one, no critic, no enemy, no algorithm can take from you. Seneca once wrote, "I will govern my life and thoughts as if the whole world were to see the one and read the other." That's power. That's a life that won't crumble when pressure hits because it was built on truth. In a world obsessed with image, the Stoic is real. In a world full of noise, the Stoic is still. In a world of performers, the Stoic is genuine. You want to be unstoppable? Stop living for praise. Start living by principle. Live in a way where if all your titles disappeared, your followers, your money, your reputation, you'd still stand tall. Because you know who you are when no one's watching. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing the crowd, you become the kind of person the crowd can't help but follow. Be the warrior who fights for what's right, not for what's popular. And even if you walk alone, walk like it's the only path that matters. Because if you've made it this far, something deep inside you is waking up. A quiet but unshakable part of you that's done with excuses, done with weakness, done with emotional chaos, and ready for something greater. Not perfection, but power. Not domination over others, but mastery over yourself. That's the Stoic path. And you, my friend, are ready to walk it. So what does the Stoic path really give you? Not comfort, not applause, not an easy road. What it gives you is clarity, direction, a deep, unshakable sense of purpose, even when the world around you is falling apart. Because here's the truth. Marcus Aurelius didn't write for comfort. Seneca didn't speak to make you feel good. Epictetus wasn't teaching from a mountaintop of ease. They wrote from the heart of war, betrayal, plague, and chaos. They were built by struggle, not spared from it. And yet they endured with dignity. They didn't just survive, they led, they loved, they lived while the world burned. That's the core of Stoicism. True strength isn't about having power over others. It's about having mastery over yourself. It's the man who keeps his word even when it's inconvenient. It's the woman who looks fear dead in the eye and moves forward anyway. It's the soul who stays honest even when the world rewards deception. You don't need to wait for the right time. You don't need to feel ready. And you sure as hell don't need permission. All you need to do is start. Start training your mind. Start expecting struggle. Start letting go of what you can't control. Start holding your values like your life depends on them. Because in many ways, it does. Live like your time is running out. Because let's be honest, it is. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need everyone to understand. You don't need likes. You don't need to be famous. You don't even need to be seen. Because when you truly walk the Stoic path, your strength comes from within. It's quiet, it's real, and it's unshakable. So if you're feeling this right now, drop this affirmation in the comments. I am becoming unshakable day by day. And if any part of this message sparks something in you, if even one sentence lit up a corner of your mind, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video. Comment with your favorite Stoic law. Share this with someone who's walking their own path. And hit that subscribe button because we're not building a crowd here. We're building a community of thinkers, of warriors, of people who want more than noise, people who want to live with intention, with honor, with power. And remember this, don't skip any part of your life. Every moment, even the messy ones, is training. Every struggle is transformation. Every choice is shaping who you're becoming. So keep showing up, keep choosing strength, keep walking forward, and don't stop until you become unstoppable.